tell me your life story, and the guy's like, you're like, God damn.
Next comic, give it loud for everybody for Anthony Eugenio. We're gonna have a next comic. Very funny. Wayne Russell, everybody.
Welcome to the Open My Pain with Anthony and Wayne podcast.
All right, Wayne, look at your sweater over there, you piece of shit. What are you doing over here so formal? You normally see you much more formalized for this podcast. Don't like me anymore? Is that what it is?
Yeah. No, I've never liked you, actually.
That's kind of the natural cycle. You're like, oh man, you get excited. You're like, I'm going to dress up for this podcast. I'm going to look good. And then after a while, you're just wearing like an old Sherwin-Williams shirt and from your old hardware store job. You're just like, I don't fucking care anymore.
It's true. I used to shower before I got on the podcast to smell better for it. I'm like, what am I doing? just so I could stand myself, really. Yeah, no. Wayne, how are you, buddy? And transition, how are you into how's our guest right now?
Yeah, I'm doing well. I'm doing well. You know, I have a lot of things on my mind, but I'm not the focal point today. Mike, how are you? Mike Ray.
I'm all right. I have a lot of things on my mind too, but that doesn't stop. So it's not a lately thing. I don't go. It's just all the time.
So, what have you been up to? So, me and you worked for the first time together. She's probably been a month ago now, right? Like, I think we hit Waterview, and then the following week was
McHugh's
Roundabout together, right?
Yeah. Yep. So that was a couple months ago now. It was this year. I remember that.
Yeah.
A place where I paid way too much for parking, by the way.
Did you hear? Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I
Waterview
parked right
would
across
fucking
the street.
get you. It would
Oh,
get you.
yeah.
$30.
Yeah, no way.
So my parking was supposed to expire at like 8:05, and then I went to my car and I had a ticket that was put on my car at 8:05, and I sent them a message. I was like, "Are you guys stalking me? Is this what's going on here?" And they said, "Don't worry about that ticket, sir." Like, okay.
Yeah, it sounds like a stalker answer.
Yeah, you know what I found out too? That the ticket was only $33, and I think to park there is $24. And then if you want another hour, it's $7. So you're looking at like $31. So if you want to stay there for 4 hours instead of 3, it's better to just get a ticket.
Wow.
That's true.
I'll keep that in mind, but I don't think I've ever wanted to be in Portsmouth for more than 2 hours.
That is true.
They got great ice cream there. I will stick up for Portsmouth. I love Portsmouth. Great ice cream in Portsmouth. Bad people? No. Portsmouth
I don't know.
cool.
It's weird. It's like I walk through Portsmouth and it's really nice now, but it's so bougie and everything's super expensive there. I'm like, it's just for people coming from Boston. I can't figure out any other way, you know, like because
it has the most restaurants per capita in the world, I guess, which is a crazy stat about Portsmouth that I heard and never Googled one time, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is. I grew up in Lawrence, Massachusetts, so usually people are calling me white bread and throwing glass in my face. So that's why I grew up for most of my life. So I get up here, I'm like, I'll take the bougie. That sounds cool.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
At least I could bully these kids.
At least I get to touch these $600 fur hats.
Yeah, exactly. Instead of making them. That's what we do in Lawrence.
Right.
We're the makers of the fur hats.
You get right from the animal, you kill them and everything, or do you just get the furs imported, you put them together and...
Yep. No, well, see, the idea is that you have to make it out of 75 chipmunks instead of a normal, regular-sized animal because you're dealing with Lawrence animals.
Okay. There's a whole metric for that, right? It's like it's 30 squirrels.
Yep.
It's about 2 raccoons.
Yeah, sorry if everybody already knows this, but keep going, Mike.
Yeah, and then one bear.
One bear, yeah, it's true. I would say 60 squirrels to one bear, probably in that range, but we're on the correct path, somewhere in that range. Yeah, you know what they say? They say squirrel is the sock of the wilderness. That's what my grandmother used to say.
The sock of the wilderness. I like that.
Yeah, she was always like, this is a great thing about my grandmother. She always had some sort of animal way to get by. Like if she was like, oh, don't worry, if you go in the woods and you have to shit and there's no toilet paper nearby, you just grab a duck and you'll be fine. They're the toilet paper of the woods. She always had her.
Why do I believe you? why do I think your grandmother was wiping her ass with ducks in 1934?
She did live in a village in Portugal where it's pretty funny because they cooked in a hole and they shat in a hole, but they only ever described one hole. You know what I mean? Like they didn't differentiate. It was the hole.
The hole.
Jesus.
Never shit where you eat is a like a axioma. Like you can't argue with that. You can't shit where you eat. But
Yeah,
Maybe the Portuguese were the first people to make that mistake, and that's where it came from.
no, it's you shit where you eat. Portugal, and then they took it and translated it over. And we were like, no, you guys got it completely wrong.
Jesus.
You know what I realized in this podcast when I watch it back is that I keep my eyes open when I take sips of drinks and I look like a fucking insane person. It's the biggest nitpick I have in my life is watching myself take a sip of some sort of drink. I'm like,
My biggest nitpick is that you watch this podcast back.
Of course I do.
Stare at yourself.
I do, yeah, the whole time. I don't look at you. What am I going to look at over there? Just fucking a gas of disappointment? I look like wheezing, you piece of shit.
I look like the embodiment of wheezing.
Wheezing grew a better beard, though.
ooh, that's a rough one.
Yeah, welcome to the podcast, Mike. It's me getting my week-long aggression of Wayne out. He just gets me all week, and then we record at the end of the week, and I'm like, "Argh!"
Yeah, you only had to spend like 2 hours interacting with me over 2 weeks. And Anthony has hours upon hours of interaction in one day, compounded.
Oh man, how is that possible? How do you do that? I mean, that's a lot of time.
Yeah, it's tough.
I'm like a overly needy girlfriend. I text a lot.
Insecure as fuck.
I have a lot of thoughts that I need to get out there, a lot of opinions I need.
And they're always like, am I good enough? That's really everyone. It's everyone.
It's true.
Basically.
It's true.
It's like a Michael Myers movie. It's like, I know this pattern. I know it's going to happen to this. In the end, he'll die and he'll rise right back up. Wayne, where have you been the last couple weeks? What have your shows been like?
All I did last week, I did that contest at PCA. You know what? Really good. I got to say, we talked about Mike. Do you do contests on average? If you see like a contest pop up somewhere, no matter how big or small, do you try to get into it?
Like I'll do Boston Comedy Fest. I like that one. But for the most part, no. If I find out something's a contest, I just avoid it. Because like I mean, I get really easily rattled, and if I'm not comfortable in a room, it's gonna go off the rails. You know what I mean? Like I'm gonna go over my time. I'm not gonna have like my best five that's gonna be conveyed with I just overthink it, and so I always lose, and I inevitably will lose to someone who's like 3 months in. So it doesn't do good things for my ego.
Gotcha. We had I don't know if you're familiar with him, Dante the Comic on. He's a LA comic.
Oh, nice.
I think he kind of became really well known for a joke, a bit he did, where he did impressions of like Bobcat Goldthwait, Jack Nicholson. I forget who the others were, but he did those as if they were in The Wizard of Oz. But anyways, we had him on a while back, and one of the things he said was, whenever you see those contests, you should do them for the networking aspect. Like, who cares about winning? Comedy's subjective, all that shit. But enter them, go meet people. And
Sorry.
what's up?
Sorry. I did a show last night in Boston, and one kid went up, and he's like, "Do you guys like impressions?" And someone went, "No," and that was it. I've never seen it before. It was so good.
So you just didn't do it?
No, he did it and bombed. Like they tried to tell him this is not going to work in this room, dude. He fucking...
Nice. Nice.
Oh man, it was so good. They were such fucking pieces of shit. It was such a good show. It was a free show, and every time you give someone free tickets to see you, they go from like, oh man, this guy's funny. I paid for this. I can't wait to get what I paid for. To, oh, you dragged me here to this free show. You better be good. So there's like a completely different expectation that they have. And it's so funny to see them be complete dickheads to every comic that goes up like they were last night. Some people were rattled. It's good. I like it because if I know the crowd is shitty before I go up there, I abandon my material as far as like what I plan to do. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to be really antagonistic now. And it's pretty fun because if they're mean to you, you laugh. You're like, that's hilarious. Where
Right.
I saw some comics where they were bad, and I could tell they were blaming it on themselves because they were really bummed about it afterwards. And I'm like, come on, you can't really. How can you take that personally?
Right. All right.
So, as I was saying, yeah. So his whole thing was, do all the contests and festivals you can because you're going to meet people that you may not have otherwise met. So I was like, all right, cool, I'll do this. Went in with low expectations, but it was an incredible show. It was in like a community center, like a parish type of thing. They had over 100 people there. It was only 5-minute sets, but I met a lot of great people.
Right.
We all had really good time. We all did really well. A kid, he might have been about my age. He came out from New Orleans just for something to do, to get in this to do this contest. He ended up winning. He's been doing comedy for like 7 years. He does like 5 nights a week. He puts on shows like 5 nights a week out in New Orleans.
Oh shit.
I think his name was Jorge Velasquez, I think.
And he flew out here for the reason of doing this contest?
Yeah, I was talking to him. I was like, hey, you came all the way out here for that? And he's like, I was just looking for something to do. He's like, so I made a day of it.
Oh my God.
He flew out here with that, and then he reached out to a bunch of people, got on a bunch of shows that I'm not able to. And he did something like 6 nights in a row and then flew home.
Damn, did he tell you he had chloroform and an axe in his trunk and he needed you to do him a favor? Like, why the fuck would you come all the way out here?
I don't know. He won.
Yeah,
I was going to
witness
fly back to
protection
do
program.
the
If
prize.
I flew out to New Orleans and I went out to a random suburb in the middle of fucking out there, and I went to a parish in the middle of a church, in the middle of a random town, and I went out and I won a comedy contest, I'm like, I fucking flew out here from Boston for this. You think, like, that's weird. Put yourself
There
in
better
that
be
position.
some bodies somewhere because this is, otherwise that's why do it.
You have to, the prize has to be equal to, I'll let you do half the ticket to the plane ride. If you give me half of the plane ride, I'm like, all right, it's a little bit of a waste of time, and it's a little weird that you came out by yourself, but I'll let it slide. What did you guys win? Like, what was the winning thing?
It was an opening spot on a show. They do like
See, he's not going to come to that. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
He's actually said he might fly back out for it.
What the fuck is this guy made of money? Like, what's he do? No comedian can just do that. That guy.
No.
Something very suspicious is going on here.
I know exactly what's going on, Wayne. You want me to tell you what's going on here?
Yes.
You ever heard that thought experiment about if you can get $6 million, but there was a slug that was chasing you, and
yeah, I
if
know
it
that. I
caught
love
you,
that.
you would die.
There's a slug. There's a snail.
It's a
You know what
snail.
happened?
The snail, and if it touches you, you'll have to like eat your asshole and vomit it out your nose and die, or whatever the fuck the saying. I think it's a saying. Oldest time. That guy is getting chased by the fucking killer snail. There's no other reason to come over here for a stupid contest. He's like, hey, I was just looking for something to do. Gotta keep that snail off my back. He's always moving.
Oh yeah.
He can never die.
So he was cool though. I talked to him a lot. I talked to him quite a bit. But here's the point. Here's the point of it. I had a really good set, And at the end of the night, he gave me his card. He's like, dude, I produce a bunch of shows out in New Orleans. If you're ever out there, which I'm probably never gonna be. Sorry, Ray, I'm not fucking going to New Orleans. I don't need the beads. Although I do like
Flashing
the
people?
Creole type of food. But he said if I ever go out there, he does like 5 nights a week. He puts on shows. He's like, hey, I got spots all over for you. If you ever come out, hit me up. So I mean, that alone was worth it. Now I know if I go to New Orleans, I have somewhere to go.
Yeah, I mean, I like that
bathtub
too.
guy.
I mean, you meet a lot of people at festivals. Like I've done some pretty decent festivals before, and the networking's always the thing. It's like I'm only doing 2 5-minute sets. Who gives a shit? Or at Altercation, I did like 1 12-minute set. You know what I mean? But it's not about that. Like I just spent the whole week just meeting everyone who was at the festival. It was awesome. Like it was the best thing ever, dude.
That's a good point. Because Wayne, your number one thing about doing a contest is networking. I bet a festival, since it's a week-long thing, it's not really geared towards competition. That probably would be the best of both worlds for doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I could totally eat shit on that. So
On
I'm
the
not doing
festival?
that.
Oh, yeah. Well, everybody hates you. So we got to figure out. You should go to New Orleans. You'd be able to get in any festival that they have there. They don't know you there.
I
That's a
bet
good
it doesn't
point.
cost a lot to get there.
To get to New Orleans?
Yeah.
Really.
Well, Bourbon Street. That's pretty sweet. It's better than anything we got.
I mean, Mardi Gras just passed, right? So
Right.
what's there for another year? Nothing.
Unpeak Mardi Gras months.
Right. True. I guess the alligators, vampires. Apparently, I don't know if that's real, but if they do exist, they're in New Orleans.
Yep.
Lots of historical places. They got shrimp, gumbo. They got I don't know. There's quite a bit in New Orleans actually. They got jazz. You know.
They do. If you're a diarrhea sanitation worker, it's kind of the mecca.
They have
Mecca.
pelicans. If you want to watch a pelican eat fish whole, while you eat lunch, and yeah, pelicans
I did that
are the
in Key
most
West one
disgusting of the birds, by the way.
Yeah, what a stupid fucking bird that is, by the way. How did evolution make it so one bird couldn't slam a fish into its mouth like that and hold it like a fucking old school net, and then the other one didn't? Like, you know what I mean? Like the
Yeah.
finches had to have the different beaks because they had to get into the holes, you know? What the hell
Right.
does a pelican need to do that?
Yeah, why did it evolve to have such a huge beak and like a quadruple chin, and it just swallows fish whole? Eagles pick apart their prey, like most birds, they just pick away at it, but somewhere along the way, the pelican just gave up. We'll be honest.
It's true. It's like the dump truck of ducks. Like, why would it doesn't make any sense? There was shit all over the fucking pelicans. A stupid bird.
God.
Oh my god. Yeah.
Have you ever heard the sound of an eagle?
Yeah.
Oh
It
yeah. I
sounds
saw a
like
video
hawk,
on that.
But it's like really like it sounds like a pussy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
America.
it does not sound. It doesn't screech.
It doesn't screech. It like whines.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it does. Have you seen
Now
the?
it's officially our national bird, the bald eagle. So
Yeah.
Yeah, we're huge pussies. That's our national from day one. That's what Lewis and Clark saw, or whatever the hell made it that bird.
yeah,
It like makes the sound of like a standard American when they're out of crab rangoon at the buffet.
Yes. Yes. Boo, Wayne. Boo. Boo. Yeah, you know what, I was watching the show Alone. I don't know, have you seen that on Netflix, Wayne? It's
great
like
show.
It's such a good show. They drop people off in different parts of the world, and then they're by themselves, and they film it with little cameras. And the one who stays out the longest wins. So they did it in Alaska, but I watched one where they did it in Australia, which is awesome because those are the craziest fucking people that have ever
Yeah, holy
existed
shit,
of
dude.
all time. These people. But anyways, the star of the show for me, the Australian version, was there's a platypus that kept coming to the camp, and they couldn't murder it like they all wanted to, and bite its neck and eat it because they're so hungry, because they can't kill endangered species in there. So every episode, somebody comes across this platypus basically, and he's like, "Meh," and they can't smash it over the head with a rock like they're like salivating at. But it makes you realize that the reason why these things are almost extinct is they are the stupidest fucking thing that anything has ever tried to create. And it really makes it so that you know that there is a God and that evolution is fake. And you shouldn't ever look into that anymore.
Of course.
Because
yeah,
there's no
question.
way that that's not a joke. That bird is not a fucking joke.
It's like a beaver duck thing.
Yeah, it's
The-
really,
one of the
it looks
weirdest
like
creatures
a claw
ever.
machine animal. That's really what it looks like
Yeah.
when my son tries to get all the time. Wayne,
Like
you
a Psyduck.
are, you are the second half of the show, and I swear you create more dead air.
It's because I'm breathing it.
You just every end of the sentence, you look at it and you process it like fucking Windows 95, and then you spit out, yeah, and then you spit out the word yeah.
Yeah.
Are you as high as me right now? As I feel like I'm doing that, but I know I'm not consciously. But the weed is making me think I am.
No, me and you are high as hell, Mike. We are as high could be, and I see that we're in that world, and we've somehow slowed ourselves. You know, on YouTube, or you could slow down the video to 0.75 to 0.5. We're like 0.5, and Wayne's at like 1.5, and we're fucking 1.5 faster than him.
He's buffering right now. We'll get his jokes tomorrow.
Yeah, definitely. It's like fucking Quicksilver when he's going really fast and he's watching the slow people around him. God damn it, Wayne. All right, I'm going to stop shitting on you, Wayne, because it's getting too much. This is a recipe for lasagna that I found on my counter. I don't know why it's here, but if you
'Cause you're
want some
Italian.
lasagna. I'm not, yeah, sorry. You know that. I was like, Wayne, I'm not Italian. Yeah, you know, you piece of shit. That was a good get back. I was like shitting on you the whole thing, and all you had to call me was Italian. I'm like, hey, wait a minute. Goddamn Italians. I did a show for some like 90-year-old people a couple weeks ago for Steve Sweeney. It was just a tough draw. But there was like 30 90-year-olds, and they loved me. Only because they thought I was Italian when the guy said my name. The guy was like, Anthony Eugenio. They're like, oh, hey, Anthony. And I saw
Didn't somebody call you Eugenioni one time?
Yep. Yesterday in Boston, Trevor Nutt, shout out Trevor Nutt. He's like, oh, I'll call you up. It's Eugenioli, right? He said it's like the same thing. And I'm like, yeah, go ahead. Say it like that. That fucking will help, I guess. And spice it up a little bit. Fucking throw some vinegar on it.
Did you commit to it though? Did you commit to the lie?
Well, this is the thing. I have an easy way to say my name, which is the name Eugene and then the letters E-O. So I always say that, and then I say, but I don't care what you call me. So that has to be the last sentence that you say. I don't care what you say, because there are some people that get mad when you say their name wrong at a showcase
You
in
used
the
to
middle
get
of nowhere.
so mad.
No.
You used to
Listen.
get so mad.
No, I didn't. Well, all right, I am lying. I did. And
Tell
I
me you
did.
didn't.
I did for open mic hosts who've met me 20 times and have asked me how to say my name 20 times. They're like, oh, yeah, I got it. Craig?
fair.
And they bring you up. And I was like, I got mad at that point a little bit, at Ben in particular. He doesn't listen to this anymore. And if you do, Ben, sad that you're sad. Move on.
You know, I didn't think he listened to a single episode until he called us out on all the shit we talked.
Yeah, we were shitting on a host at an open mic for a while. I don't know if you know Mike, and it was Strange Brew Tavern. It used to be hosted by Ben. And anyways, we'd shit on him every episode.
Yeah. I know Ben.
There you go. And one time, Ben was bringing us up, and he's like, and the people who shit on me on their podcast every week, I was like, oh, he listens.
But he listens. I mean, that's good, right?
Yeah, I don't know what it is. It's kind of, I watched the movie Nosferatu recently, and it was the embodiment of evil was kind of the metaphor for it. And I was like, Ben. Like, like it's
Ben. I miss Ben.
him
I'd
too.
like to see him back. The one time he came back to host, I didn't get a chance to get up there.
Oh yeah, you came back right after he left for when he was going to guest host. You went back there. Is that what happened, Wayne?
I went back there at one point, but like there was one night in particular he was going to guest host, and I just couldn't get up there that night. Like they said he was going to be back, but
Well, They're doing a good job there, I guess. I was seeing the last couple shows. Seem like they're getting consistent people at an open mic, which is really cool to build that. There's like 40 comics that go up every time, so I'm not going to that again. But
Oh yeah, that's too many.
it's tough.
Way too many.
Because it'd be one thing if it was like a randomized order or something like that, because then you're like, all right, it sucks because there's so many comedians, but at least like every other week I get in the top 10 or so, or whatever the math would end up being, where you get a good show out of it. But I feel like every time I've ever gone there, I've been like 31st on the list, and I'm like, this is not fun. Makes no sense.
Damn, I didn't even think there were that many comedians in Manchester.
No, it's a good little room, so people travel. There's definitely a good amount of like from Lowell up to the Manchester area. Like all those comedians go there, and they got a good little scene. Like the Lowell scene's pretty good, the Manchester scene's pretty good, and they're pretty distinguished. Me and Wayne run a show on at Stark Brewing in Manchester, like one Friday a month, and yeah, there's lots of comedians around there. It's weird. Some towns like the Methuen, pretty good big sized town. I don't know any comedians really from Methuen at all, but you go right over to Lowell and there's thousands.
Right. Yeah. It's so weird.
Where are you from? Are you from Maine?
Yeah. Lewiston specifically, but I mean, basically Portland. I'm like 40 minutes away.
I see. I'm Kittery. So I'm first town over in Maine.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, I've seen you. I've done the Comedy Mill stuff for those guys a lot.
Yeah.
I did. Well, I go to their open mic quite a bit, but I did one of their shows before with Ben Chadwick, who I'm sure you know if you're from that area.
Yeah.
You know what I want? I need to try. How do you like the Great Falls Comedy Club? I've seen your face on their flyers. I worked with one of the guys there that runs it, but I haven't physically gone there yet.
Fucking rules, dude. Like, it's a very resonant room because it's in a basement, right? So it's all brick and granite from the foundation, and so you get like 15 people in there, and it feels like 40.
Oh, that's awesome. Damn.
But yeah, I have a couple like I've headlined there before, so I have a couple of really good tapes from there because it just sounds so good, and when you get the good sound on your tape, like I mean it's better than having a decent tape. If you have like a decent tape with sound, it's just so much better. It sounds so much more professional.
Yeah, I've had a couple bookers in the past when I was sending tape for the first time be like, the sound matters more than the look. I don't care. I just want it to not hurt my ears when I listen to it. Like, yeah.
Right.
Should I tell the story about the convention?
I don't know what you're talking about, so do it.
So there was you might have seen this post, but there was somebody who posted that they were looking for a couple, two female comics and one male comic to do 15 minutes, and it was not far from my house. So I sent a message. I was like, hey, this is who I am. Here's my tape. Blah blah blah. Like 10 minutes later, I'll give him credit. Very fast, he replied back to me. He said, I don't think you're right for this. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I kept reading, and he said, this is a private event. It's a swingers convention. And they want like 15 minutes of hard-hitting, fast-paced, dirty sex jokes. It's like, yeah, that's not really what I do.
What if you did like venereal disease jokes for 15 straight minutes about what they like? This is what's going to happen to you, because that's dirty sex jokes, and you can do really good ones with it.
Yeah, I think that'd be the route to go. Give them what they want, but not how they want it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I don't take requests. I don't take requests. We do 80s Billy's Joel. That's it. That's all we do.
The kicker of this whole thing was I knew how many views the video that I sent him got or had, and I checked after, and I realized he didn't actually watch my video, which means he just opened up my profile and saw my face and was like,
"No,
he don't fuck," and
no
he's right. I guess he's kind of right. I can't even.
Oh man, like even swingers were like, I don't know about this guy.
Yeah,
in his defense,
not that way.
He was definitely booking, and he's like, all right, I need a person that's going to visually make people horny. And that was really criteria number one. You had to break through that first protocol. It's like, can you name the why we like what the 13 stripes mean on our flag or whatever the hell? That's you got to say that, or you can't get into the country. Bar one. So for your border for entry for this was that people looked at you and then wanted to fuck each other, and no,
Yeah, that's
sorry,
fair.
buddy. Yeah,
That's fair.
me neither. I mean, I would get the same fucking text back.
I told my wife that whole scenario, and her response was, "Yeah, he's probably right."
Yeah.
That's the weird thing. They might look at me and not necessarily want to fuck me, but they'd be like, "Oh, he looks like he's biker adjacent." And bikers and swingers, it's just like that. So, I think I probably would be offered the gig, but then they'd be really disappointed when I got there. Then I just joke about weed and have no sex jokes.
I just recently found out about swingers. I knew the pineapple was a thing. I just found out loofahs are a thing in swinger culture. Did you know this?
Loofahs?
I did not know that.
Loofahs. So they'll like drive around in golf carts and they'll hang different color loofahs, and they all mean something different. Like if it's a white loofah, it means you're new to this. I had somebody at my work telling me about this when I told them that story, and I said I use loofahs and they're all black. What does that mean? They looked it up, and it's actually a thing. It means you're open to anything.
Oh,
Yeah, so
expanding your horizons. That's good.
yeah.
You don't even know it. You just got to accept it, though. You
It's
have
true.
to accept it. It's 2025.
I wonder if the biker connection has anything like. Think about how numb your butthole must be after riding a bike for a long time. Like, let's say you're 5 hours in a bike. Like, what else can bring your butthole back to life than a random guy fucking having his way with it?
Yeah, that's got to be it. And then they just because they're all rebels, so they're just like, let's just swap today. I don't care.
Yeah.
That's it. How sore is your butthole? Oh, it's not sore at all. It's numb. Perfect. Let's do it right now.
Bam. It's like if you stop doing gay shit at prison 6 months before you get out, it's not gay anymore. But if you do it within 6 months of leaving, you can't do that. It's totally. I mean, you can, but then you have to identify as that. But if you are 6 months in prior, did you know this rule, Wayne?
No, but the first thing I thought about was, like every 7 years your skin sheds and you have like new skin. It was like every 6 months in jail you get a new asshole.
Well, you do physically. That's true. You do by how much gets pushed in, but you have to. But here, this is real. This is real. I watched a prison show. This is real.
Is it like a sock? You ever like put like just have a really old sock that used to be nice and taut? And the more you do it, it's just like all wrinkly and gross.
Yeah, that's a perfect metaphor for a butthole. We all know it, and it makes us all uncomfortable. Don't say that one. That's everybody's is like that. I was watching 60 Days In, and some guy was getting gay, which is fine. It was fine. He was doing that. It makes it much easier. But anyways, the guy was breaking it down. He's like, yeah, man, I get it totally. But we got different rules that come associated here in prison, like super gay, man. And you only got 2 months and you're in here doing that, then you're gay. That's what it is. But if you got 6 years and for 5 years and 6 months, you're just gaying it up in there. But for the last 6 months, you go like, all right, I got to get back into regular life. And you don't do it and you abstain and you get out. That was a hall pass for that 5 years. Nobody could judge you. Nothing wrong. Street cred still intact. If your street cred, which by the way, they should update their street cred if you're against gays because the gays are the best. But it doesn't count. And anyways, This relates directly to motorcycle riding somehow. Do you ride a motorcycle, Mike?
No, it does. No, I don't. No. I don't have the money for one. No way.
It's a dream, though.
Yeah, well, I'd rather have a sports car than a bike personally, but I drive a Corolla. So.
I guess you can get the same effect as a bike if you take the suspension like an old Cadillac there that used to get their rocks off. That's why old housewives used to drive Cadillacs because it would get them going when they hit the bumps. Really sick.
Okay, yeah, I can see that. That sounds like a very 50s mentality, honestly.
Yeah, couldn't talk about orgasms to a lady in the 50s.
Well, they didn't exist, actually. I don't think they existed till we believed in them.
That's true. That is the best. Yeah, we Freddy Kruegered orgasms into existence. We're like, we
Yes.
believe in it. Oh man, yeah. I feel like if a lady did that pre-40s, you're getting witched. You know what I mean? Like you're gonna get burned.
Right, yeah, for sure. Because it's like they didn't exist yet, so this was like a totally random belief, and they had to convert people to it basically, and before that they were just witches. You're right.
I know. It's because like think about it, if you were in the 40s and you finished yourself when you were with a lady, and she was like, "I'm not done yet," you'd be like, "What? Did you just try to assert rights?" Banner.
Says who? Huh? Now get back in the kitchen.
She take one step over. She's in the kitchen.
Yeah, man. Those are the days. Like my wife talks about all the time that she would love to get in a time machine and go back to she loves England and old England things, and she wants to go back to like the King Henry VIII's time and all that. And I was like, you know how dead you'd be so quickly back then? Like us,
Yeah.
we're good. You go back any time frame, we're going to figure it out. We're going to have a good time. But if you're a woman or like anything darker than me, you don't want to go back ever.
Yeah.
You don't want to go back
Yeah.
10 years. I want to say right now.
Yeah, and like just based on your your clothing alone, they'd be like, "We've never seen anything like this." They'd hang you. You would not last. It's like you have to go back and so let's say, God, fuck, I had a thought, I lost it. You keep going.
So my wife, because of her England thing, she thinks that like I've said this to her, and she'll say back, "Oh, I would definitely wear the clothing of the time so I fit in." And I was like, "Yeah, but then you would go up to somebody who was a male, and you would say, 'Do you want to hear this fact about this castle?' And then they'd be like, 'You have a fact in your brain?' And they would cut your head off. Like, there's no way around trying to go back there as a lady and survive. There's no chance you could do it.
Yeah, let alone people from England are sometimes hard enough to understand as it is. Like, I mean, we all know David Attenborough. We know his voice. We're used to it. But, like, if you go into the streets of London right now, it's barely English. So, like, imagine 300-400 years before that. There's no way you'd understand them.
Yeah.
Where would she get the clothing at the time? She'd have to either get it there, or if she brings it with her, it's going to say, like, juicy on the back or something.
No, she makes my wife is a very, very talented individual, Wayne. She makes dresses and stuff like that. She totally would make her own dresses. She went over there. But what I did notice of the people over there is that Mike is completely right. They sound like fucking pigeons that got the ability to speak.
Is it like the Cockney accent?
No, they're all over the place. So there are posh accents. Cockney is definitely an accent. Posh is like the way the royals talk. That's not a posh accent. The royals are a Cockney, that style, and then the posh is like that. Oh, yeah, you go do this.
No, I
It's just
think it's
disgusting.
the other way around. Cockney is the oi. Pretty positive.
Cockney's away? I'm fucking this all up. I go to England all the time, and I gotta tell you, they're garbage people over there. They piss all over the place. There's no public urination laws there, so they pee all over the place, and there's no public drinking laws. So you go to a bar and a pub, and they all stand outside, drink their beers. Like they stand and just sit on the sidewalk and talk to each other with glass beers and all that. And all the time, you're like, wow, so they figured out how to do it. Well, we couldn't do that. They figured it out. No, they didn't. They smashed bottles on the ground all the time. I see them do it. Every time I go out there, someone's smashing a bottle in front of me or glass.
Damn.
Yeah, so there's just glass all over the ground and piss.
So and then a fight breaks out, right? At least 6 or 7 times a night.
Yeah, but they're like red-faced
bar.
white fights, you know what I mean? Those ones where they cry in the middle of them, and you're like red-faced white crying fights.
Like
Those
the windmill punches? Like,
yeah. And then they're just singing a song in unison, 70 of them together, and afterwards, and they're like, "Oh, yeah, you're like, wow, how the fuck do you guys have songs? Like, it's incredible that we can't do that. Like, we got Kumbaya. That's all we
We
got.
have that, yeah.
Yeah,
You'd be
watch the
singing
cricket.
Not Like Us.
Yeah, exactly. We would have to rap like Kendrick Lamar all together, and we couldn't even do that because we couldn't say the N-word, so we'd have to like stop in the middle
I
of
was
it.
gonna say, who would be able to say half the words?
Exactly. We couldn't do it. Yeah, I watched rugby at a pub. Got hammered, warm beer. They serve beer warm. If you couldn't hate them anymore as a country, they serve their beer out of the tap warm. Anyways,
Because they have no air conditioning, right?
no, it's not that. Well, they do have no air conditioning. That's true. I wonder why they do that. No, it pisses them off to have cold beer. I don't know what it is.
There are some
fuck?
beers that they recommend to just serve at room temperature.
Yeah, the one you have before you kill yourself. I don't know what there would be another way to do that to yourself. That's disgusting. But
That is gross.
yeah. Anyways, got hammered at a bar. This guy, his name is Nigel. He was sitting next to me. He was,
Of course it was.
yeah, he was Irish though, which is weird. Very Irish. Yeah, I couldn't understand a word. This guy, hammered Irish, trying to explain to you rugby, is awesome. It's basically. Have you seen the documentary on YouTube, Wayne? The when they go to Wales or whatever the fuck, and they get these Welsh guys, and it's just they get them at a bar, and they're like, "Tell me your life story," and the guy's like, "Oh, rape." You're like, God damn.
No, but I did see there was a news article, some guy, a news clip or whatever from Ireland, and they went to this like the oldest pub in Ireland or something like that, and they had this guy that's been drinking there since he was like 3, and he was like 104, and they were asking him questions, and he sounded just like that.
I think that's what I'm talking about. I think I fucked this up. It wasn't Wales. It must have been Ireland.
It was the
I
most
think it's the same
incredible
video. Was he
I
wearing
feel
a
like
red
he could-
sweater?
It sounds familiar, but I don't know. It's been like
It was a
3 years
sheep's
since I
wool
watched
sweater, which you're like, God
it.
damn,
I mean,
dude,
yeah, 'cause it was in
stereotyping
Ireland,
it.
Of course it was.
Yeah, I know, but come on, man. Like, it's not like it's just like imagine if we stereotypically actually did like imagine if you carried around Wonder Bread with you at all times or something like that, and you're like, yeah, it's just what whites do. It's so weird to do it like that.
Oh man.
I love that guy though. Yeah, that guy's awesome, and he's
Yeah,
not.
I never think I would like have to visit there and say, please speak slower, and I would be that guy. Yeah, there's no way I'm going to understand that, especially if I'm sloshed, because that's the thing over there.
Out of that guy, I don't know. He was speaking English. I don't know if slowing it down would have been better. He'd be like, he sounds like what, like, like what they do those videos of what English sounds like to people that don't speak English. Have you ever seen those
Yes.
before? It's
Yep.
exactly like that, where you're like, man, I'm picking up a little bit of what the words are, but also if he was this guy was trying to explain rugby to me, and the score was like 62-12, and I don't know, like I think if David Attenborough was trying to describe rugby to me, I would not understand it. I do not get that stupid game, and all I know is that Nigel was pissed at the end of it. He was really mad. And I threw.
What is the deal with rugby? You kick it through the uprights, you run. It's like football, but it's not. It's like soccer, but it's not.
I watched it for
And
3
then,
hours. Watched a man passionately cry about it. I don't know anything about it still to this day. I got nothing out of that trip. I threw up on the sidewalk in a cobblestone. Which is a
Nice.
bummer.
Well, I mean, you can't do it on like a regular concrete, so that feels weird.
It does.
It's got to be cobblestones.
It's made to throw up on, which you do those and you're like, oh my God. Like, I know they had to get rid of these for cars and all that, but who would want to walk on this? You're like, it's for throwing up and shitting on. It's really what
Yeah,
that's
true.
That's why they get alcohol over the streets. It doesn't matter. It just seeps into the ground.
Yeah, it just seeps into the gaps between the cobblestones. That's what holds it together.
Damn. I know. And then leaches into the earth and slowly kills it. And we're like, yeah, that's what you do. That's what you do to earth. What does your sweater say, Wayne? I can't read it.
Oh, this is my company, Industrial Tool Supply.
Oh, check them out, baby. Check out. Yeah, I'm not making a joke about that. Look at that fucking sweater.
Yeah. And OSG sent me to Japan a couple of years ago. That was fun.
Not sponsored, just a fan, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
We're just fans.
Yeah.
I would never take $1 for Industrial Tool Supply. I just sit outside their building every day and masturbate.
So
Does it have cobblestone outside, or is it concrete?
it's nice.
Yeah. Cobblestone. The C is for a very particular reason, Wayne.
Nice.
So, a little off topic here. There was something that's been on my mind, and Mike, I'm glad you're here because I'd love to hear your opinion on this. So, as I mentioned, I did the contest on Friday.
Yes.
The Saturday before, I opened for Steve Sweeney, and there was like 270 people there. The contest was like 100. Now, the reason I bring this up is because after the contest, a gentleman came up to me, and he said, "Hey, I saw you open for Sweeney last week." And I was like, "Oh, hey, how are you?" Whatever. And he goes, "You're much more polished tonight." And I was wondering in my head, this has really been like sticking with me because, we're at 2 years into comedy now, and we're trying to figure out like what we're doing, like what do we need to change, and the different types of rooms and this and that. And I was wondering, is it the 200? It was 270 people was the biggest crowd that I performed in front of. I think the next closest was it was 200. And then after that, like 100. Mm-hmm. But I was wondering, was that like an inexperience of how to connect with a room that size versus, I've done a 100-person room dozens of times at this point. Was it more comfort? Like I know, okay, there's 100 people here. I know where to look in this particular way, but in the 200, it was spread out this way more. And I noticed when I was watching Steve perform, he was using the whole stage. He was going down that end. He was coming down this end. He was going in the crowd. And I feel like he was really connecting with people. And I was wondering if that comment that he said wasn't necessarily polished material, but polished stage presence.
Probably. Like a lot of times you're doing stuff on a stage that's the size of a pallet. You know what I mean? Like that's all you get is just 4x4. And so you have to have all your stage presence in that one little spot. And in a bigger room, I don't know if you necessarily need to fill the room, but it is going to change the dynamic between the comedian and the audience. You know what I mean? Because they're not going to be as... I feel like your jokes would have to be stronger than your character, I suppose, in situations like that. But, I mean, it could be the other way around. I don't know.
At PCA, what were you in the lineup? Like what?
I drew number 2. There was 10 people on the lineup. I drew number 2. One person didn't show, and the one that was left in the bucket was 1. So I ended up drawing essentially number 1.
Mm-hmm.
And you opened at Steve Sweeney.
And I opened at Steve Sweeney. So essentially, it was pound for pound the same exact setup, just 3 times more people in one. Slightly different because it was more wide than it was.
I just think you can't judge a bullet set, like meaning good or bad. And I know that they both were, but if the crowd is just in sync already when the show starts, you're going to be able to, your jokes will land better and all that kind of stuff. And if you were doing the bull run and they were just kind of disjointed a little bit in the beginning because you were just starting, and then by the time they got to the feature, they were kind of zoning in, then you're going to look more unpolished.
Yeah, I was trying to take that part out of it, and I was wondering what was it I did. And the only
because you're an insecure pussy, but like, how are you going to figure out what?
I take it as it was inexperience working with a crowd that size.
Mm-hmm. Well, you're but also it could have been lots of things. It's not you're trying to figure out one thing that you did that made 2 sets different. It might not be the crowd size at all. Could have just been.
It also was only one person that said that. I had a lot of people come up to me at Sweeney and said I did a really good job and this and that. I was happy with that. I was very happy with the way it went, but it was just something that in our ever longing need to get better, want to get better. You know, it was just I was trying to think of what it was that I could have done different. You know,
Well, stop being yourself. One.
okay.
That's what I would try.
Yeah. And I don't know. I think that could be anything. That could be a lot. Like you could have said things, worded things slightly differently, and people got it one way and didn't get it the other. It's really hard to juxtapose two sets. You know what I mean?
And you did 5 minutes at the one that you did well on versus over 10 minutes at the one that didn't, by that guy's standards, didn't go as well. Let's call it.
Right.
That's
I will
much
also
different
say
set
this.
too.
That guy also said to me, and I 100% wholeheartedly disagree. He's like, yeah, Sweeney didn't do great. And I was like, well, the other 269 people disagree with you because he got on stage and for 55 minutes there was zero silence. People were laughing the entire time. So, but I was trying to take it as a learning moment for me, and I wanted to pose that question to you guys. And you know, I don't know. See what your thoughts were on
Why you're horrible. I get it.
adapting to different not only different crowds but different size crowds. Different. And Anthony, you've been going through it because you did a couple shows down in Boston. You've been doing the oldies a lot, and you went and did some youngins.
That was
And
interesting.
Mike, I mean, you've done probably more sets than we dreamed to at this point, in front of more diversity and different types of people. So.
Where have you been? Like what things have you been doing in Boston?
So I've been forcing myself to go to small bar rooms in Boston. Like I did the Sea Hag, Dot Tavern. I mean, Nick's isn't small shady, but I still been trying to get on Nick's more because I've been doing a bunch of regional shows, like suburb shows, we'll call it. And with Mike Katrobis and Mike Smith and all these guys, that it's great. The shows are awesome. Like some of the rooms, like Wayne's talking about, Bull Run over there is 270 people, so they're really cool rooms. But the average age of people is like 60 plus. Always, it's always older whites, and I'm getting good at handling them. Like all my sets are going well, and I'm figuring out joke orders that I put together that I'm like, I got this now. Like if it's like 90-year-olds, I got 12 minutes that will kill. If it's
I hope it doesn't kill that hard.
yeah, no, it kills the old age. Like they literally fall over and die. Those old geezers.
Nice.
And then, but I'm realizing that I don't want to write jokes in that fashion. Like I don't want to change any of my jokes so that they hit harder for old people that can't handle it. So I've been like, I have to get into the city because they're all college kids and stuff like that, and try the jokes there to see what they go. And I'm noticing, like I thought, my thesis, that they're not going to go as well when I'm, because the kids can't relate to that. If I'm doing jokes about my wife or doing jokes about my kids or something like that, those college kids aren't going through any of that, so you can see it not clicking with them. And then if I'm like trying to relate to them, I'm going to look old as hell. So I do like more of my absurdist jokes and weird wordplay jokes, and those were doing really well. So I guess it was like the first learning lesson I had, where you just don't take your act to the next show. You have to kind of see what you're going at, like see what the audience is like, and tailor what you're going to do to them. And it was the first time I'm like trying to do that. And I've been having a really good time. Like I did Steve Sweeney the day before Wayne, 29 85-year-olds basically. And I had a great run with it because I abandoned what I was going to do. And I was like, all right, they're going to hate anything I do that's going to be super edgy. There was a Catholic League association there that had a table. And
Nice.
Yeah, and normally if I heard that, I'd be like, I'm going to do my joke about stapling Jesus to a tree. I have a great joke about that. And they're going to love it. And I would ruin the night. But I'm finally starting to be like, it's probably pretty good for you to assess a situation and deliver a set that you feel is best going to have the best chance to work based on the people. Where I hear the argument all the time where it's like, just be you no matter what it is and do only the jokes the way you want it to be done. If they hate you, they hate you. So,
Well, you have to be yourself anyway, but
Yep.
I think you have to go in with the perspective of, if you're doing older things, it's like, oh, I'm like a son or like a nephew to these people. But if you go into the college things, you just have to have that perspective of like, I'm a little bit older than them, like I was just them a few years ago. But you do the same jokes. It's more like your references and stuff are gonna change. It's like little things that you could do the same act basically, but you're not gonna reference the same things.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm gonna make an Andy Griffith Show reference for the old people, but the young people aren't gonna get it. But it can be the same joke.
Sometimes, but this is like I have a joke about getting a prostitute in Lawrence and realizing halfway through that it wasn't a lady and it was a guy, but I would really wanted to still have sex with him, because I was in the middle of negotiations, and really, if I get too deep into negotiation, I don't even care about the item anymore. I just want to win the sale. So, anyways, I negotiated with the prostitute and we compromised, and eventually we met in the middle, and she came on my tits. Anyways, that's the joke, and I know that no matter how I say that, if they're 80, they're not going to like that joke.
Oh, right, right.
So I have that one. If I'm doing college kids, that joke is always my one where I'm like, they're going to fucking love this one. And I love busting it out for them. So there's really, either a set, for me at least, there's a set of absurd jokes like that I have that I think that I could do with the younger ones, that if I go with the older people, they are going to absolutely hate. And then vice versa, I have jokes like, something about my wife asked me a bunch of questions, and eventually the whole joke is that the police are never going to find her body, which too long to explain. But it's very funny end to it. But I close with that in older rooms, and because they're all married, you can see them, like it always hits for it. But then I do it to a bunch of unmarried college kids, and they don't get it. Doesn't hit for them. They don't see it at all. So I want to do the same jokes and change references for them but some things are just fundamentally never going to connect to certain groups of people.
Oh yeah, you're always going to have like a fist fuck joke,
Yep,
or something. You're like, one room is not going to like this, and then you just can't finagle around fist fucking. I mean, there's just no room to get in there and change it.
Yep, it's got to be tight.
Yeah, it's funny. Some at the contest was the person running it was like, yeah, last year they really liked the clean comics, and going up first, I was like, well, I'm just doing my shit the way I want to do it, and everyone was like, oh, I kind of want to see what they like. You know, I have this joke about this and that, and if they don't like the dirty stuff, I'm gonna take it out. And I was like, well, you guys can all just listen to me because I got a little bit of everything in this 5 minutes, and they loved the clean, they loved the dirty. It was such a great crowd, but.
Well, that was the thing. If you went sixth and you saw that the first guy did dick jokes, the first 5 of them, and the 8 shit, you would look at yourself like, oh man, maybe I should swap out. Right. I know you would. I've heard you do that a bunch of times where you say, maybe I should swap this out for that.
Yeah.
So that is, I think, the correct move to think that way. But I think that you should be confident with all your jokes. I think it's more like you're about to be a pitcher in a game, and you're like, well, this is now it calls for a curveball, I think, and you go with what you think best will fool the people. But you shouldn't go like, I'm about to eat shit if I did feel that way yesterday, actually, right before I walked up for my second set. I'm like, I'm going to die up there.
Mike, awesome. Mike, how do you feel about eating shit? Is it fun to you?
Not really. It has like a musty kind of flavor to it, and it just... It's real pungent, you know, and when you get it right in your face, I don't know. I some people kind of like it and they kind of embrace it. I'll just like, I don't really care, you know, I'll just finish. And not really great at riffing. So I just do my shit. If they don't like it, that's how it is that night.
I enjoyed bombing.
Yeah,
for the reason that I feel like For the reason that I feel like a bomb tells you so much more about your material than if it goes well. You know what I mean?
Like, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And maybe not so much a bomb. I think if you bomb completely with stuff that you do well with other nights, maybe not so much. But, you know,
I think it depends on... Sorry, good.
I was going to say maybe one joke in a set that normally does well doesn't one night, and I think that tells you a lot. Like, what did I say it like you said earlier? Maybe you delivered it slightly different, a different wording or different intonation, or you know, maybe you're looking this way instead of that way, whatever.
Those kill me.
Those moments.
Those kill me.
Oh,
All those are the worst. Where you're like, hey, did I say it wrong? Did I do this? That's such a, that gives me the shivers to think about. I like bombing if I have, like, if I'm going, like yesterday's a great example. If I'm going into the city and I'm like, I need to try some new shit on some younger people and I need to kind of figure out how to do this, like, this style joke in this type of crowd. If I'm going in like that, then bombing is part of the process. Like, it's more embraceable because I'm like, hey, I'm trying to learn this thing and get through it. I'm not expecting all of it to work, and I'm trying to get one joke out of 7 minutes to work or something and get it. Then I don't have a problem with. If I'm doing a real show and it's 100 people and they've paid tickets and it's like a 15-minute set and the guy's like, you're the opener, please don't fuck us. And then you bomb, that hurts. I can't figure out. I'm like, I'm not doing the whole did I say this thing wrong and all that. I'm like, what was the best building to jump off of? That's all I'm thinking about. But if I'm anywhere else, open mic, oh my God, bombing is, I don't give a fuck. I'll do the bomb every time at an open mic.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Like, that's where you're supposed to bomb. That way you could just take those jokes that just didn't work. They'd either tweak them or just scrap them. I mean, that's where you do it. You know, but it's hard. I don't know. It's hard to just build it a little bit at a time and categorize. This will work here. This will work here. I mean, sometimes you just, at a regular show, it has to happen. It sucks, but it has to happen.
Yeah, it does. I wonder if it's like that you can measure how good a comedian is based on how big of a room they're comfortable bombing in. like if you watch, if you listen to how Louis C.K. writes, because he's very famous at doing the joke for the first time ever that he does it on stage. So every time he's writing on stage to try to get premises out, which is insane. But he does that at real shows in front of lots of people at like the Cellar. I say lots, but you know what I'm talking about. Like, they're paying money to see him, and he's going up and just riffing new shit on there, bombing his ass off, and making gold out of it. And you're like, man, I would never do that. If I went to the Cellar, they're getting my best 10 minutes that I've ever written in my life. So you can see the more, and I used to think about open mics like that. Like, that's my show of the week. I'm not going to bomb here. I'm going to feel like shit if I do that. Then the more you get along, the more you, like you said, it's what it's for. And that's the place you're supposed to bomb. And then, you know, eventually we're going to be doing that bull run, 270 people, and I'm like, yeah, here's a new joke about my dick. See how it goes. All right, let's wrap this up. Wayne, what else you got before we go?
You know, one thing I wanted to ask you, Mike. How long have you been doing comedy?
Too long.
Too long.
Like, like 9 years.
9 years. Oh, goddamn.
Way too long.
Nice.
Yeah.
Do you remember the first joke you ever wrote?
The very first joke I wrote. I don't remember. I remember there's a couple. I mean, I had a joke about penis transplants that I got pretty early on. And that
Wayne
I haven't done that for years. Oh, yeah. Did you sign up for one?
No. Did you see that?
I did.
There was a guy in China that got a penis transplant, and he went like crazy after 2 weeks. He's like, "Get this fucking thing off me!"
Like it was attacking him. What was happening?
I don't know what was going on, but like I don't know what happened. I think he had like dick cancer or something, and he got rid of the old one and put a new one on, and like there was some psychological thing, he just couldn't handle it, so he had them take it off.
It's probably like he obviously got a huge penis, because if you're gonna get a penis transplant, you're not gonna get anything other than a giant one. And there are drawbacks to a giant penis of day-to-day life. Like when you're slinging it to ladies, I'm sure it's great. But outside of that, like, could you imagine if you were in the deep end of a pool and you couldn't swim to the bottom of it because your dick was keeping you afloat or something like that? Like tucked to the top like a buoy? Like the buoy they shot in the Jaws and held it up top of water? You had that dangling on you?
Right, and now that we have penis transplants, you got a big dick, it might be sold on the black market at some point. Like, there's going to be a whole economy based around the dicks that are big and people trying to hunt those dicks.
Definitely be the biggest white one would be
Ivory.
the Moby Dick of it. Like, call me Ishmael. I must have the white cut penis. I died looking for the big white penis. Charles Dickens. Good night, everybody.
That's right. It has like a musty kind of flavor to it, and it's real pungent.